Hi everyone, Ravi this side. Welcome to Engineering Adda. So in this video, I'm going to develop the student service, Microservice 1. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to open the IntelliJ for it, and I will create some APIs for the student service, and I will use the MySQL as a database for it, and I will show you how we can connect to the MySQL and how we can do some operations there. So I'm simply going to create two APIs. One is post and another is uh, Git API. So I will show you whole development. So please be with me and start doing the code. So I went to the file, go to the new and project, and here I'm using the IntelliJ Ultimate version. So that is why this page is coming up here only. We can see the Spring Initializer here. If you're not using it, there is another way. You can come to the browser and you can open this, let's say, Spring Starter, and there you can find this page, the IntelliJ page that you can see here. This is Spring is Initializer page you can find there, and from there you can download the project and you can unzip it, and then you can open into the IDE, either in the IntelliJ or STS or this Eclipse, whatever IDE you are going to use. So you can open there, and from there you can start doing the things. So now I'm going back. It is loading. I don't know why it is taking some time. So let's say let us start the creation of the project first, and then later on I will show you what I was talking about the Spring Starter. So let me create the project name as a student service project, something like that, or student service app. Okay, let me go next. I'm going to use some starter dependency here. Let's say Lombok and Spring Web. And coming to the SQL, I'm going to use the Spring Data JPA and MySQL driver, and just do a create and open in a new tab. It will take some seconds to configure itself. Till then, I will go to the browser and I will show you from where you can download this project. So this is the page, Spring Initializer, and here the same page where we were doing some configuration was open in the IntelliJ. It is the same page. So here you can provide the name, let's say Spring or student service app. Okay, and you can choose Maven here, and with the help of this you can add this dependency Lombok. You can type it here web, Spring Web came, and similarly for the JPA you can type it, and then Spring Data JPA is there. You can use it, and the other dependency that you want to use is MySQL driver. So you can select this, and then you can generate it. It will generate a zip file, and then you can unzip it. You can see it is generated here. Okay, so you need to change the name of the artifact as well, so that it can come like a student service app. And you can see here, go to the download. You can see it is downloaded. You can unzip it, and then directly you can come to the IntelliJ or whatever ID you are using. Come here, and directly from here you can open that. So you can browse this location. So it was in download for me. Let me go download, and you can see these applications are there, right? So where is that? I need to see. I have a lot of files in my download. So similar way, like let's say some application is there, I am going to select that and open and show you. So let's say it is this, it will open like this only. You can trust and you can open in a new tab. So it will open this way. Okay, and you can start the development after that. So let me close this. So we have created this student service app. Now coming to the source main Java, let me minimize all these things. Okay, now I'm going to create some packages here like entity, okay, and some other packages like repo, service, and controller. Service, okay, this is not there. Service, and similarly, you can create the package called controller. Okay, now this is the student service application. I'm going to create the entity student here. So let me create the student entity. Okay, let's say student entity has some reference like private student ID. So it is of integer type. So integer ID, private sname, private string name, private string father name, private string address, and private int age. So this much of instance I am going to use for this. Let me make student ID as a ID, and it should be auto generated. For that I'm going to use this generated value, and it should be identity. So strategy. Okay, so now we are done with this. Coming to the student, I'm using the Lombok. So with the help of Lombok, we can directly call some annotations like all argument constructor, no argument constructor. So we need not to create all of these codes. So it will save our codes. So I'm directly using these annotations. With the help of data, we can generate the getter and setter to a string. So I'm using those things. This is the entity class, so I'm annotating it with the entity, and I'm going to create the table called student. So let's say name equal to student table, something like that you can say. Okay, so we are good with the entity creation. Now coming to the repository, I'm going to create the student repo, and this is the interface, and it should extend the JPA repository so that we can use the JPA provided methods. So extend JPA repository. Here what I'm going to pass, we need to pass two argument here. Okay, the first one is the entity class, which is student. Okay, and the second is the type of ID of entity class. So student has the ID as ID and its type is integer, so that we need to provide here. Coming to the service, let me create the service class, which is student service. Okay, let me create it. Let me annotate this class with the annotation called @service so that we can create the bean out of it. And let me create these two methods here. So let's say public student get student by ID. Okay, and let me pass the ID here. So this is the get method. Okay, so based upon the ID, this method will call the this method will fetch out the record from the database. So okay, let me auto wire the user, sorry, student repository here, so that we can with the help of the JPA provided method we can do this operation get and post. So let me auto wire this. Okay, let's say it is private. Okay, copy this and then come here, paste it, and we have the method called find by ID. So I'm going to use that, and here we are passing the ID, the argument that we are passing here, and then simply I'm returning it. So, and then here we need to do a get. So what is happening here? We are fetching out the student record from the database for a particular ID, particular student ID, and then returning it. Similarly, what you can do, you can create the method to insert the user. So these two method I'm going to create. So let's say it is student and insert. Okay, and here I'm not I'm providing the student reference which will send in the form of the request, and then with the help of the JPA save method we can save this to the database. So and then simply returning it. So we are done with this. Now coming to the controller class, let me go and then let me create the controller here. So let's say it is student controller. Okay, let me annotate this with the @REST application and some mapping I need to do. So request mapping. So let's say I mapped this whole class to the student. Okay. Now coming here, I need to call the student service method here. So let me auto wire the student service reference. So I'm doing that student service. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to create the get mapping and post mapping so that we can call the methods which we have created into the student service class. So this is the get mapping. Let me put like student, and then let me pass some ID here. So based upon the ID, we are going to fetch the student from the database. So let me create the method. So it is of student type, get student, something like that, by ID. Okay, and let me do it public. And here what I going to do is, let me first of all let me import this. Here I am passing this ID as a path variable. So in the form of the URL, I need to pass this ID so that we can fetch out from the database. So I'm going to use this student service, and I'm going to call the method that we have created, get student by the ID, and here I will pass the ID. So this is all that we need to do, and simply return this. Coming to the post mapping, let me copy this and I will create the post mapping as well. So let me change this to the post mapping. Here, let me change it to the insert. Okay, and here, let me change it to the insert student. And here we need to pass the student reference. So I will pass this student reference in the form of with the help of this request body annotation, so that whatever request is coming in the form of JSON, it will convert to the uh, Java object, and then it will save into the database. So for that we are using this. Let me call student and let me pass the reference here, and coming here let me call the method of this student service class, which is insert, and then pass this reference, student reference. So we are done with this. So we are done with the development of the APIs. Now coming to the configuration of the database, I already have this configuration handy so that it can save our time. So if you need these things, I will ping the GitHub link of this whole application development. From there you can find it out. So come to the IntelliJ. Let me paste it here. So I will explain you each of the configuration that I did here. So this configuration is for the database driver. So this is for the MySQL driver that we are going to use. This is the app, this is the URL. Okay, and this one is the database that I have created. This is the username and password for me. And coming to this, these are the query, these are the configurations so that we can see the query uh, that is going to fired, and this is for the like DDL auto is for automatically doing some firing some commands. So this is for that. This is for the server dot port is to run this application on some particular port. So I'm going to run this application on the port number 9190, or let's say it is 9091. So this is about this. Okay, now coming to the database, I'm going to create a separate database for this. Let's say student service app I'm going to create. So this is the MySQL. Come here to this icon. Let's say it is student service app, student service app. Apply this, apply it, and it will create it. From here you can copy it and then come to the development. Here you can paste it out. Okay, this is the username and password. This is the URL. Everything is done. Okay, now let me run this application and then I will show you how it is behaving. So it will be, because of this configuration, it will automatically fire one create query, and it will create a table into the database. And with the help of the APIs, I will try to insert some details there, and then we'll try to see. And after that, I will create the another application, and then I will show you how they can communicate with each other. So you can see here a fire command is triggered. A query is triggered, which is a create table query. Come to the database, you can see this is the application that we created. You can see student table is created here. So come here, you can say student table and just fire this command. You can see this is created. Nothing is there into the database, but yeah, the table is created now. So come here, let me open the Postman, and with the help of Postman, what I'm going to do, I'm going to insert some detail there. So let's say, uh, let me see if some details is there, or what we can do, we can directly come here and let me change the method to the post. Okay, and this application is up on 9091, and these are the mappings I will see again. Come to the student controller class, you can see this is the request mapping, and to insert the student, this is the insert one, and then we need to provide the details of this instance variable. ID is auto generated, so I will skip this. So let's come to the Postman again. So this is student, and then insert, this is the post one. Now coming to the body, you can select this JSON, and now here let me pass the request here. So name, and let's say name is Rahul. Okay, and let's say name is father name is Ajay, and coming to the address is there. Okay, and then let's say Delhi, and age is there, I think. Let's say it is 24. Let me go to the entity again and then see if something is missing or not. So we are leaving the ID and coming to the name and father name and address and age. Uh, we use this in the request. So we are done with this. Now let me send this and see how it is behaving. So you can see this is inserted into the database. Now come to the database. You can run this application, this command, and then you can see it is inserted. Let me create couple of records there. So let me change the name to the Akash, and let's say Akash and Rahul are brother, and their age difference is 6. So the father name is same, and so it was 24 to 26 I made, and then let hit this API. So we have inserted these two records there into the database. Okay, now come here. Now coming to uh, the development of the student service, we are good, but we are missing something here. So you can see we have only these records, but in the coming development, I'm going to develop the library service. I'm going to develop the book service. So library service, one student can have a ID. One student can have a library ID. Okay, so we are going to introduce some new instance variable with the library ID. Okay, so that I am going to do in the next video, and when I will develop the library service, then after I will show you how you can map these two things. Okay, so we need to use the for this foreign key mapping, and then I will show you all those things in the next video. So please subscribe the channel and hit the like button.